Greetings, I'm Karen Colligan, and welcome to the Let's Talk Leadership podcast. So, why do I care about leadership? As a founder of PeopleThink, and in my tenure as a leader, a consultant, and a coach, I've certainly seen my share of very good leaders and my share of very bad leaders. And I thought, it'd be great to share the wisdom from the very good leaders, hence the Let's Talk Leadership podcast. You're going to hear from a variety of leaders who are in a variety of roles, sharing their leadership expertise by answering the same 6 questions. Every single leader is unique in their style and approach, and we want to capture that uniqueness and provide you, the listener, with a diverse way of looking at leadership. So let's get moving and talk to our next leadership guest. In this episode, I am thrilled to be speaking to Sandra James, who is the CEO of Private Eyes. We're going to hear all about Sandra's approach to leadership. So Sandra, welcome, and thank you for being with us today.
Well, Karen, thank you so much for having me. I'm grateful to be here with you today.
Great. We're going to have a great conversation. I know it. So Sandra, before we get going, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and give us a snapshot of Private Eyes before we even start the conversation?
Well, I would say that I'm a serial entrepreneur, and what that
yes, you are.
And I would say that what that means is I've been doing this for a few decades. And so I've had lots of challenges, lots of experience, and it's been a great journey. And so Private Eyes, we make a safe workplace possible by providing high quality, accurate background checks to our customers across the nation fast. And so that's really our core value and what we're all about.
You know, Sandra, when I started this podcast, what I really wanted people to hear is how unique leaders are. And my first question is, how do you define leadership? And what I have found is, as the 29th person that I've interviewed, is everybody says it or does it a little bit different. And that is the beauty of leadership. So tell us, how do you, Sandra James, define leadership?
Well, that's such a great question. And I think that it's changed for me over time. But today that I would say that I define leadership as when I can enroll other people on my team to accomplish the goals together that we set, then I am being an effective and empowering leader. And so I think that's changed tremendously from decades ago when I started doing this to what I see today.
Yeah, and that whole idea of enrolling people, Sandra, when I grew up in corporate America and when you grew up, my guess is we both experienced more of that command control, do it because I said so. And we just had a funny conversation about motherhood, but that's a whole different thing. And this idea now about enrolling is really important because people want to be part of the solution. And they want to help really guide the goals and objectives of an organization. So I love that. And they become effective and empowered. Gotta love that. Great. So the second question, Sandra, is really values. It's really about how kind of what your North Star is. It's about really your guiding light. And so when I think about leadership, I always think if we don't have a set of values, it's going to be really hard for us to make those tough decisions and recognize what we will tolerate and what we won't tolerate. And I really believe that values help us do that. So for you, what are your 3 top values?
Our 3 top values at Private Eyes are integrity, accountability, and responsibility. Integrity is about doing what you say you will do by when you say you will do it. And if you can't get it done by when you say you will do it, then going to the person you committed to and tell them when you will do it, or if you can't do it, why, and what your solution is to get it done. And so, which ties into both accountability and responsibility, because when you're acting with integrity and doing things that way, then it's like playing on an NBA basketball team. you can pass the ball to that person and they're going to dunk it every time. And so you build trust with each other. And that's really what has made Private Eyes successful. Our niche is customer service with a human touch. And we're able to do that by sticking to these core values.
Yeah, so the three core values aren't just about with your colleagues, Sandra. You're also saying customer service with a human touch. I just love that. And that means that your customer also, you're going to have each employee is really going to think about it from an integrity perspective. They're going to think about it from accountability perspective, and they're going to think about it from a responsibility. So it's almost like a full circle, in-house, out-house.
Yes, yes. And we have that on our conference room wall. It's spelled out there with teamwork and quality, because obviously for what we do in providing background checks and income verifications or employment verifications for lenders, and background checks for hiring, it's most important that everything is very accurate and that the information is very high quality. Nothing happens without a good team. And I have a fantastic team.
All righty then. So my third question is, we're going through an enormous amount of transition and change. I mean, the global pandemic, the social awakening, the economic implications of both. And so it's hard to lead through transition and change. And so how have you been able to do that and, keep your employees really looking at that North Star of integrity, accountability, and responsibility?
The biggest thing that I've been able to do over the last 2 years, I think that with the pandemic and all of these different things that have been happening in our world is to communicate with the team. So I'm communicating with people individually by picking up the phone and talking to them. I email the team consistently. We have company State of the Union meetings and just updates regularly. We have daily team meetings. So it's really been about communication, and every issue that's happening, we have to communicate with the other person so that we know how it's impacting them, because every human being reacts differently to different things. And so some person might not have any reaction to something where someone else might be traumatized by it. So I think that by communicating with the team to find out what is happening and how things are occurring for them has really been key to our success. And we've been able to pivot very quickly as we needed to adapt to whatever's happening.
Yeah, and there's something about communication that when you're having those conversations that you can actually not only speak the truth, but the whole idea is, okay, again, we'll go back to what we talked about earlier. If you're having this conversation, then it's a give and take, and you start to really understand what is impacting you, what isn't impacting you. And as you indicated, I mean, some people will get triggered by something that doesn't even seem to make sense to someone else. So to be able to continually communicate makes great sense. And you said something I want to ask you about. You pick up the phone. I had just before our call today, I had somebody that called me. I was so happy. I answered the phone. I was like, first thing I said, Sandra, is everything okay? And they're like, yes. And it was a colleague talking about a client we're working with, having a real conversation instead of putting it on Zoom and, when are you available? I can't tell you how. I'm going to try it. So tell me about picking up the phone. Do tell. What's your model around that?
Well, you know what? We still have a full-time receptionist that answers our phone, and our customers have given us the feedback that that's one of the things they love about working with Private Eyes is they like when they call, we know who they are and we can answer their questions. When you're waiting to hire someone or you're trying to get a loan done, and you need someone's income verified or employment verified, or you have a question, you need it answered right away. Yes. And so, Private Eyes is over 22 years old now. And I just think, even though we started in the .com era, I thought this is the type of service that when someone has a question, they need to talk to a human being. And today, over 2 decades later, I believe that's still today. And that's one of the things that our customers tell us they like about us. They also tell me that some of our competitors are doing chat, or they're only able to chat with them or email them, and it takes weeks to get back to them. So our niche is to call our customers or respond to them within 1 to 2 hours. And that's why we say customer service with human touch. And we
Yes.
answer the phones between 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday.
Wow, wow, wow. I'm sure there's people listening to this going, really? I could probably name 5 companies that I would wish that someone would answer the phone. I mean, there's companies you can't even find their phone number.
I
So
know.
to think you have a live receptionist answering phones and sending the customer to the right person is, wow, that's very exciting, very exciting. I was just excited by getting a phone call. I can't imagine a live person answering a phone for me.
Now it's becoming less and less of a standard today.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. All right, question number 4. We know the best leaders are curious and always learning. From your perspective, Sandra, what do you do? Like, what are some of the tools? What are some of the resources that you do for yourself to help yourself grow and develop?
Well, what I would say, one of the key resources that I've had over the last couple of decades is being certified as a woman-owned business and being involved with WeBank, which is Women Business Enterprise National Council. And so I've been fortunate enough to be on the national forum, on the local forum. I sat on the national board for WeBank for a period of time, and I still sit on the board for our region, for the regional partner in the Northwest United States. And I think, and that has given me the opportunity where some of my clients were able to sponsor me to do different types of programs, like the TAWK program through Dartmouth College, or I'm also a member of Vistage, and I did the Stanford Vistage program. So I just recently did the UC Santa Barbara Women in Leadership program. So by doing these different programs, I've been able to learn and become a better leader. And so I'm also a licensed private investigator in 3 states, so I have to do continuing education there. We are certified, we're accredited through the Professional Background Screening Association, which is our industry standard, to show that we have all of the documented processes and that our team are certified FCRA experts through that organization. So I'm always looking for ways to grow. Being involved with other leaders has been the best way for me to grow and learn, because business is all the same, regardless of what product or service we have. We all have payroll to meet. We all have marketing to do. We all have employees that we're dealing with. So one of the best resources that I've had is through the WeBank organization, women, being involved with women, and then through Vistage, being involved with, everyone that's, it's both men and women. So, both those organizations have been very helpful to me through my career. As resources to connect with other leaders and to continue to learn. But I feel like, I just have to keep learning. I mean, there's so many people that have come into my life that have made such a big impact on me. I mean, someone came to me in 2008 when everything was really bad, and he wanted to buy my business. He had sold a software business and he wanted to buy Private Eyes. And I didn't sell to him, but we became friends. And then he bought another software company. But then when I decided to develop my own software for Private Eyes and 4506, then to provide my services, I reached out to him and he was able to help me with how to do it. And now we own our own software. So we're a technology company that provides the service of background checks and lender services for that. And so, it's been being curious on how we can do things better to improve the experience for our customer, our customer is our client, but it's also the end user, who could be a borrower or a consumer or a candidate.
Wow. Technology. Wow. You've come a long way, baby. That's what I have to say, Sandra, because I've known you a long time.
I know, right?
Yeah. So no, I have another question, but before I go to that, I'd like to know, when do you sleep? Do you sleep?
Well, I sleep a lot better today than I used to, because I used to be the one to start at 5 a.m. every day. And now I have a really good team. So I start pretty much at 6. But I do a lot of our 6 a.m. calls remote. So, I'm not always going to the office every day. I still have 2 offices, but so my schedule has been a little bit more flexible, and my kids are young adults now. So, life, it gets, it's easier today than it was. But the biggest reason that it's easier is because of my team. I'm blessed that I have a team of people that have been with me for a long time, and we're all passionate about making a safe workplace possible. and helping the American dream come true by helping consumers get mortgage loans or SBA loans so they can fund their businesses or buy the home of their dreams. So,
Yeah.
and we help them get the job that they want. So,
Yeah.
we really are passionate about that. And I have, we have like over 100 years of experience now with my combined team of my core group that's been with me for a long time.
That's amazing. That in itself. I mean, we're going through the great resignation now, and everybody's just jumping, jumping, jumping. And when people ask me, why do you think the great resignation is happening and why are people jumping? And I always say, because they can.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
one reason. And the second reason is because they're not happy with their leader. And if you're not happy with your leader, why would I stay? I can go next door and then I can find potentially a leader who will map to the same values and that type of thing. And
Yeah.
one thing you've said multiple times in our conversation just here, Sandra, is the importance of your team and the fact that your team really recognizes not only the values, but what's important for the business. So that makes a huge difference. That makes a huge difference. And building that trust. I mean, we talked about that as well. And when you have people work together for a long time, the trust is there. So that really is helpful. Yeah. So my fifth question is, how do you give your folks development and growth opportunities? So you've got them. So what do you do? How do you develop your team?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, we do put them through the training and they get certified as a FCRA expert. That's Fair Credit Reporting Act expert. So they go through and get tested and do the work there. I also just recently had a few of our staff members go through the UC Santa Barbara Women in Leadership course. There's different things that we offer to our team to have them grow. And it really is aligned with those core values because, I always say the more responsibility that one takes on is really where the reward comes from. And, now that I've been doing it for a while, I used to encourage people to take more on. And sometimes they were just happy doing what they were doing, but they were afraid to tell me that they didn't want to take more on. So they did. And then they hated it. And then sometimes they left. Right. So I tried to put someone in their seat that wasn't the place they wanted to be or that they thrived in. So what I've had to adapt and adjust to is that, not everybody wants to be a leader. So some people are really good at their job. And what I've learned is when they're really good at their job and we can grow them in that position by giving them more clients or more responsibility in a different way. So they're still leading because they're taking care of customers, but not maybe leading in the responsibility of taking care of managing other people. Then I've been able to retain people longer and still grow them. And so, that's been an educational point for me, was to realize that not everybody wanted the same position that I might see them in or that I might want to be in. Not everybody wants my job. I accepted that. And, I was like, well, what do you mean? But, now I'm like, it's so much easier because it's about finding the sweet spot for each person where they can thrive and be happy. And if they can thrive and be happy, they'll stay with us for a long time because they love what they're doing. And and it doesn't, not everybody wants the same types of position. One person that might be really good at data entry might be a great outgoing personality that would love to try sales. Right. But somebody else that is in data entry might not want to talk to anybody all day, and they just want to do that work and they're happy doing it. And they're very good at doing the same task every day. So it's really about finding that sweet spot for where everybody's fit is. And then that's when things can scale very easily.
Yeah. And, just because someone doesn't want to move into another position doesn't mean they can't continue to develop and learn in their current position.
Exactly. Right.
So, as long as we can be respectful of that, and as long as they're clear about what they do want to learn and develop, I mean, that's fabulous. That's really great.
And, and it's different. I mean, I've had one of my favorite employees over the decades was somebody that two of them actually, I hired to help me with my kids as nannies. One was in college when he started with me, but then he ended up coming to work for me and he ran my 4506 division for years. And the same thing happened with the next person. And they were long-term employees and they eventually left the company, but they were with me for, 5 to 10 years. And so it was just a really good, healthy, long-term relationship. And they learned everything. And then they were ready to move on. And
Yes.
so, and I was happy for them. They still stay connected today, but, they made a huge impact for us. And
Yeah.
so they did a really good job. And so, that's what we're looking for is, I would never fault anyone for moving on. And, if we can grow people at the pace that they're comfortable with and doing the things they love to do, then we want to do that. And we're
Yes.
always looking for opportunities for them to learn more. And
Yes.
there's so many details to what we do that it just takes time for someone to gain all that knowledge.
Oh, I can only imagine. They say it takes normally 6 to 9 months for someone to get up to speed in a particular role. When you're talking about what you are discussing in terms of your work and your employees' work, I would imagine it would take longer than that because of the detail.
I mean, we're dealing with federal and state compliance issues, reporting guidelines it's very complicated.
Very complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. Okay, good. So my last question is really about joy. And what I really believe is that it's important to find joy in our life so that we can bring it into our workplace. So do you have a particular piece of art or music or literature or whatever else brings you joy that you really pay attention to so that you can bring your whole self into the work environment?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I love yoga and I love hiking and walking. And, never been really a runner, but I like to run sometimes. I'm kind of a sprinter. I'm not. And
big surprise there, Sandra.
I know, right? I'm a sprinter. And so, but what brings me the most joy today is the time that I spend with my 2 sons and with my wonderful husband. And, so friends and family, I'm one of 9 kids, so I love to see my family. I love to spend time with them. And, of course, it's mostly around food. I have my adult children are boys. So, how I get them to hang out with me is feed them. But that brings me the biggest joy. And my youngest, who he called me a couple weeks ago and asked me to go skydiving with him. And so I did. And I thought I was going to throw up when I jumped out of the plane, but I did. I always wanted to skydive, and he called me out of the blue and asked me to do it. And so I was like, let's do it. We did it the next weekend. And it was so much fun. It was so much fun. And so I just think that, those things that we do with the people that we care about the most are the things that, they just make my heart happy. And so, I just want to spend more time doing those things. And, like the people that have worked with me for a long time, I liked it. It flows over, like joy flows over to me when they're having babies or their family's growing, or I watch them in their happy moments with their family that they share with me. Yeah. And so, my director of operations, Frank Santa Elena, he's been with me 18 years. And so, so we're in each other's journey along the way. And so, that brings a lot of joy to see people's kids grow and go into school and different things, that they're experiencing along the way. So I think that's really it. And that goes back to being connected.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So we know happy heart, happy Sandra, right?
Absolutely.
Love that. Wow. Oh, goodness gracious. Thank you so much for your insight, for your wisdom, of course, for your sense of humor, and your kindness and gratefulness and all those kind of good words that go with it. So I'm really grateful today for having you join us, Sandra. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you thinking of me. And if there's anything I can do to support you, just let me know, okay?
I will do it, Sandra. Absolutely. Thank you. And so everyone, thanks for listening. I'm Karen Colligan at People Think, and you've been listening to Sandra James, CEO of Private Eyes. And if this leadership podcast was of interest to you, go to the peoplethink.biz website and look at all the other distinguished leaders I've had the pleasure of interviewing. And you're going to learn so much about the uniqueness of leadership, because I know I have. And don't forget, share it with your colleagues. So till the next episode of the Let's Talk Leadership podcast, have a good one. Don't forget to keep it real. Music by Poddington Bear and editing by Mary Lee Williams. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye now.